Hello, everyone. Welcome to the final day of the Pure International Conference for Asia Pacific. Thank you for staying with us. Adam, Regional Software Solutions Manager at Elsevier, and I will be the moderator for track 2 today. We look forward to receiving your questions. You can submit your questions to the speakers by using the live Q&A button located on the right-hand side of your screen, and time permitting, we will cover Q&A at the end of each presentation. I'm joined by Emil Lee Cheuk Wai from the Education University of Hong Kong. Mr. Lee has been at the EdUHK library since 2013, and as head of the Information Management section, he is responsible for the planning and development of various aspects of the library, including EdUHK research repositories, bibliographic data services, data management of in-house databases, and also copyright management of the library. He is also the chair of the Hong Kong Pure User Group, and today we will hear from him about integrating Pure with Research Information Core Hub at EdUHK. Over to you, Emil.
Okay. Dear all, good afternoon. I am Emil Lee from the Education University of Hong Kong Library. Today, my topic is integrating research repository with Research Information Core Hub RICH at EdUHK. I would like to show you how integration was built between RICH and Pure at phase 1 of the revamp project. Before the presentation, I would like to have a quick note to our institute. We are one of the 8 government-funded universities in Hong Kong. We set up in 1994 as the Hong Kong Institute of Education. In 2016, we are retitled as the Education University of Hong Kong, EdUHK. Our mission is to promote and support the development of teaching, the teaching education, and to train good educators in Hong Kong. In 2021, we have totally around 1,300 academic and support staff and around 6,000 students overall. Currently, we have 3 faculties and 17 academic departments. Then, let's take a look to our research repository. The history of our repository is not very long. It was launched in 2009 on DSpace platform. As you may know, the function within DSpace is limited. It cannot meet the need of our researchers. So in March 2018, we migrate our research repository from DSpace to Pure. Currently, we have over 430 researchers, 54 research units, and over 35,000 of research outputs. In the following presentation, I will introduce what will be included in our Research Information Core Hub RICH revamp project. I will introduce some basic facts about RICH. I will explain why revamp is necessary, show the project goals, and also the main features of this project. Besides, during the revamp, there will have many difficulties we will meet. I will show you the details and how we fix the problem. Finally, I will show you after phase 1 of the revamp how researchers and the library are benefit from the project. Research Information Core Hub RICH was launched in 2009. At the same year, our library was also launched the repository through the DSpace platform. Of course, RICH is not maintained by the library. Instead, it was maintained by 2 other supporting departments. One is Research Development Office, RDO, and the other one is Office of the Chief Information Officer, OCIO. RDO is our research department, while OCIO is our technical support department. Then, what is the function of RICH? RICH contains 2 main functions. First is to provide EdUHK researchers information to the public. This means that all of our researchers have to log into RICH and input all of their research information within RICH. Second is to facilitate the submission of CDCF, Common Data Collection Format, data required by the University Grants Council, UGC, our funded body in Hong Kong. During these 12 years, some enhancements have been made in REACH. For example, REACH platform is modified to support research assessment exercise, RAE, in 2014 and also 2020. Then what is included in REACH? All researchers have to input their personal information in the REACH, such as full name, title, affiliation, photos, and everything. Second is their research interests, teaching interests, and also external appointments. Then is their research outputs, including books, book chapters, journal articles, conference, creative works, and all other outputs. Researchers are also required all other activities like research projects, prizes and awards, and also patents. Please note, this kind of works so far are not included into PUA before revamp. I will use the below chart to explain how things work among researchers, audio, OCIO, and the library. To be a researcher, during the past 10 years, on one hand, he has to log into REACH and input all his information. On the other hand, since his profile in PUA has not been updated, the library will not know this. He has to inform library so that library can update his profile in PUA at the same time. Please note that at EdUHK, our researchers do not have the right to edit or update their information in PUA. They can only inform us to update their information. For all audio and OCIO, they will maintain all research information submitted by researchers in REACH. OCIO will display the data to public through REACH, and audio will submit this data to UGC through the format of CDCF. Finally, for the library, we will collect researchers' personal information from REACH. We will harvest research outputs from REACH and add to PUA after verification. We will also update data as informed by researchers. At the same time, even if they do not tell us, we will still check their information from REACH and update their profile if any change is found. Then, what's the problem? Why revamp is urgently needed by all of us? We can look at this question in view of three parties for REACH. First, at the side of audio and REACH technology is very outdated. 2 or 3 years before, some researchers tell me that sometimes they cannot update their information in REACH if they use Google Chrome. Instead, if they use Internet Explorer, IE, they can. I'm not sure whether this problem still happens or not right now. Secondly, the function or the design of REACH is also outdated. Taking another example, in 2020, because of the RAE exercise, all researchers are required to register ORCID. However, there's no place in REACH for researchers to fill in ORCID, Scopus ID, or other identifiers. Finally, REACH has no integration with other departments. For example, currently, our academic staff are required to submit a CV for their appraisal. However, since there is no integration between HR and REACH, the researchers have to input their publication information, project information, everything to reach to our HR once again. Then for the researchers, actually before the project, we know that there are many comments about REACH. Of course, generally the comment is not positive. For example, currently, page number is a compulsory field for inputs. However, in many cases, like e-publications, there is no page number indeed. So we need to improve the design of REACH so as to meet the needs of them. Moreover, researchers always complain that duplicate efforts was made. They need to input all research information to REACH. They need to input again similar information to HR for appraisals. And again, they even need to inform library in case the same information is not updated in Pure. It wastes their time. Last, and also the most important question is that for researchers, if they want to show their research information to public, they do not know which platform is better to be used. If they show REACH, the display of REACH is ugly. And some important information like ORCID Scopus ID is not shown. If they show Pure, some important activities like project information, prize and awards are not available in Pure. So both REACH and Pure is not best enough to show their research information. Finally, for the library, we also find that it is not easy to maintain the workflow. For example, we will create researchers' profiles in Pure, but all the information is actually come from REACH. We need to copy and paste every information from REACH. It is quite stupid. Besides, in the past, we always receive complaints by researchers, especially when they do not understand why the data between REACH and Pure is not consistent. Actually, we will regularly check and update our data in Pure, but we still cannot meet their expectation. Finally, as mentioned before, our information in Pure is not completed. We do not have project information, patents, and prize and awards. So the answer is clear. All parties have their urgent needs. We need to revamp our REACH at once. So we begin the REACH revamp project in 2020. Some goals are set about the project. First is to upgrade or to modernize the existing REACH system so that we can meet the needs of all the parties. Second is to integrate REACH with repository on Pure platform. Repository will become the single source of EdUHK researchers' profiles accessible by the public. Third is to support knowledge transfer KT activities at our institute. And finally is to improve reporting functions and also add data analysis. In this project, 4 parties participate. That is Office of the Chief Information Officer, OCIO, Research Development Office, RDO, the library, and also the Vice President's Office. They oversee the process of the whole project. The whole revamp project will be developed by 4 phases from 2021 to 2023. Phase 1 will focus on researchers' profile, and it has been launched in April 2021. We are now processing the phase 2. It will focus on development of a new REACH platform with new functions so that researchers can have a new platform to input their research information. Now, phase 2 are at the final stage, and we are trying to test the platform. If everything is okay, a new platform will go live in January 2022. Phase 3 will be concerned about knowledge transfer, and phase 4 about CDCF. I will make a short briefing at the end of this presentation. So this presentation will focus on phase 1. There are forming features in phase 1. First, Pure will be the single source of research information at EdUHK. Second is to do data synchronization between REACH and repository. Third is to export other REACH information to Pure. And finally is to generate researchers' personal CP. And I will explain these 4 features one by one. First, repository on Pure will be the single source of research information at EdUHK. Before the revamp, both researchers can show their research outputs to public either by pure or by rich. After revamp, rich will be hidden from public. Public can no longer access rich directly in search engine, and pure will be the only showcase of researchers' output to public. In other words, all traffic is redirected to researchers' profile in pure. The second feature is to do data synchronization between rich and repository. Please note, researchers will still input their research information in rich, not in pure. Library will then run a job in pure to synchronize all research information except research outputs from rich to pure. This is not a real-time change, and the time gap will be around 1 hour. The next feature is to export other rich information to pure. So all personal information, research interests, teaching interests, external appointment, and also all other activities like research projects, prizes and awards, patents, everything. All of them will be synchronized from rich to pure. And the final feature is to create CV page to replace the profile in rich. In pure, each researcher's profile will show a link, and this link will direct to researcher's own CV. This CV will contain everything, so that researchers can share or print this CV for their own use. Then what is the challenge we face and how we solve? In the first place, the main problem is where we can test the data. Since the project will last for 3 years, we decide to buy a station server from 2021 to 2023 for 3 years, so that we can have a stable environment to test everything. We met a problem of data mapping during data preparation. Since there are many different fields between pure and rich, we need to integrate a mapping table so that we can ensure that all data can be migrated. Moreover, since rich is a very outdated system, many common fields like ORCID, Scopus ID are absent. So we have to add new fields in rich first before migrating the data. Before the migration, we do have concern whether the job of synchronization can work well or not. So we have made the UAT test to add, delete, or update the data. We also made some tests to ensure that the CV can normally display in pure. So this is the whole story of phase 1. Actually, after the migration, we have received some comments by researchers, and overall the comment is good. From now on, they only need to manage their research information in one platform, which they no longer need to worry about the content will be different between rich and pure. Moreover, now full information is not shown to public in pure. This means that they are now able to use pure, a pretty platform, if they want to show everything to public. Finally, more convenience functions are added. For example, they can now pick their CV and then share or print their CV for their own use. Then how about the library? Actually, the library is also benefit. Pure is now the single source at the university level to display research information. In the past, we are hesitate to say this because the research information in Pure is not complete, but now we can. Second is to save manpower on creating profiles and extract information from rich. Finally, now everything will be synchronized from rich to pure, except research outputs. The library will still extract research outputs, not only from rich, but from Scopus, from ORCID, or alerts from other major publishers. The most important point is that research outputs are still validated by the library, and we can still maintain the quality of each record. We are now going to phase 2. Actually, at this moment, we are now doing the UAT test. If everything is okay, phase 2 will go live in about January 2022. What is included in phase 2? In phase 2, we will launch a new rich platform. In this new platform, more options are provided for researchers to manage their profiles. For example, researchers can show or hide their photos, project information, prize and awards, and other activities. For example, if they have their own homepage, they can opt to show their homepage instead of show their CV. Or they can even opt to show or hide their CV or homepage as they like. Moreover, more new functions are added. For example, new data fields like DOI, article number, ISSN, ISBN are added so that it can meet their needs when they input research outputs. Besides, more new fields like ORCID or Scopus ID are also added so that they can input their ID information. Finally, new functions for managing research projects, patents, prizes, and awards are also added. Now, new functions to grant access rights are added. Researchers can now grant the right for their assistant to update their information in Rich. Then comes to phase 3. For a long time, our institute has many activities about knowledge transfer, such as partnership projects, professional conference, workshops, seminars, or professional development courses. We hope by the end of 2022, we can include these activities into Rich. Finally comes to phase 4. As spoke earlier, our old Rich is outdated. There's no function to generate reports or data analysis. So we hope in phase 4, we can generate CDCF reports to UGC. We can export CV and other reports. And we can have new functions to support data analysis. If everything is okay, we hope all can be done in 2023. This is the end of my presentation. If you want to know more about us, you can take a look to our webpage. Thank you.
Thank you, Emil, for the presentation and right on time as well. If any members of the audience have any questions, you can always reach out to Emil and connect with him in the Expo Gallery or the Connections Hub later. So I just have one question for you, Emil, since we have a little bit of time left. So right now, Pure captures a number of metrics around the outputs in the system. Is there any intention to extract and synchronize them with the rich system? Would that be in phase 4, or would that be something considered separately?
Yes, this is a good question. Actually, as I said before, now we are still at stage of phase 2. In phase 4, especially for the data analysis, we are planning to do so. But everything is still on planning, and I hope we can include that.
Great. Thanks for the comment. I think with that, we have reached the end of this session. Thank you, Emil, for the presentation again. We're now going to take a short 5-minute break where then we will transition over to the next session, which is focusing on Pure Metrics Demystified. Alternatively, you can also move to track 1, where they'll be discussing Pure reports in greater detail. So thank you all for joining us in track 2, and we'll see you shortly again.